didn't do against the Spurs, and their tight ends, like Dale did, definitely monsters. They're like they can go 6'7", 6'5", 6'9".
And I don't want to toot my horn about being right about like that.
And they can run like wide receivers. So
they're 500 right now. They're gonna be under 500. And good morning, everybody. We are the Talking Hats coming at you. We have a special guest joining us today. David Lee is going to help us out with our, help you guys out too with your NFL playoff bets, and probably touch on some NBA stuff in there too. But I'm going to go ahead and kick the show off with a couple of shout outs. My man, Ola Adams, who pretty much grew up with, he's my brother's age. He's been a coach at Villanova for the past few years. He just got a defensive coordinator job at Temple, so that's a pretty big promotion. And just wanted to throw him a shout out. I'm proud of him. I used to coach him in basketball, so I know he's just a great dude from a great family. So I wanted to lead the show off that way. Another shout out to Rodney Phillips. He got an assistant job with the Trailblazers. Had a couple of run-ins with him throughout my days in Colorado. He's Chauncey's brother, of course. So I wanted to throw him a shout out too. He always seemed like a good dude despite our run-ins, and so that's pretty cool. Wanted to shout him out. And then so we can go ahead and jump into the show after that. Harish, you can go ahead and start us off. That's Harish. I'm Dale with the Talking Hats, and again, we're joined by David.
So since the Wizards tonight are playing the Portland Trailblazers, David, do you see any kind of like a loss in play because Bradley Beal is coming back into the lineup?
I mean, I think it's hard to say. Honestly, the Wizards lately have been playing down to their competition. I feel like all the games that they played have been very close.
Man, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and then they're still trying to acclimate Thomas Bryant, who just came back last game, and also Hachimura's back. I think it's a really tough game to call because I believe the Blazers are getting McCollum back today as well, and he's been out after his collapsed lung injury. Yeah, and I think Simmons should be back in the lineup because he was out last game for personal reasons, and he's been balling. So I think it's a tough game to call. I'm just hoping for a good game. I mean, I'm just excited to watch Kuzma because he's been playing very well defensively and offensively. So
would
I
you
don't
stay
know.
away from this game from a betting aspect of it, or to put any money down with our viewers, or
see
for the Wizards game?
See, when you asked me about this game the other day, you said that this would be a measuring stick for them, and I kind of poo-pooed that because I was saying that they're pretty much a G League roster without McCollum and Simons and Lillard. But with Simons is coming back definitely tonight.
I believe he is coming back tonight
because he was
out for personal reasons.
Yeah, he had been playing very well in Lillard's absence, and that's what they had been waiting for out of him, for him to blossom. He showed a lot of potential and then kind of fell off. But with Lillard and McCollum being out, he was taking over and showing what they expected him to be. But if he's coming back and McCollum's coming back, that changes everything, especially from a betting standpoint. So what do you think about that one? I don't know where the line is. Let me take a look.
I'm not sure what the line is either.
I'll get that in just 1 second. It is So I might take the Blazers plus 7.5.
Oh,
yeah, that's a lot of points.
Yeah,
a lot of points.
Wizards
Wizards
don't blow
barely,
teams out like that.
Yeah, they don't blow teams away. Even versus Orlando, they had a huge lead, and then they let Orlando climb back in the game. So, I would actually take Portland with the points.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
I'm trying to see if Simons is coming back.
I think so because he was out because his grandfather passed away.
Yeah,
I believe so. He was out for personal reasons.
So I'd expect him to be back tonight.
Yeah. It'll just be interesting to see how everybody gels.
Oh no, he's out. He's been ruled out. They say he's coming back Monday. So
okay.
But if let me see if McCollum's back.
Yeah, I saw reports that he was gonna be back, but
okay.
Unless there's a change.
Because if he comes back, then that's going to be a pretty
Yeah, I would still take that 7.5 if he's back.
yeah.
Yeah.
With
I would
Oh no, he's not
Portland-
coming back till Monday either. So they're
Oh,
both out
wow.
today. But
So
that's
7.5?
7.5 still though, because and another thing we talked about is how close that Magic game was, and how
Mhm.
close they were against OKC. You
Right.
know,
Yeah. And they
so-
lost to Houston too
right.
at home.
Yeah,
And
so
Houston's a G League team too. So and they yeah.
and I guess it depends. I'm not sure if Bill's back today. I hadn't seen anything on that. I wouldn't think so though. So like I said, that's 7.5. If you're betting, I'll vouch for that pick too. I like that. But with the Wizards on that aspect, we were talking about Bill and David. Me and you were talking about this earlier in the week about how the team is looking without him, and
Right.
this is how they were playing early in the season with a lot of ball movement, a lot of players getting shots up, and that's how Beal had fit in the beginning too. He was averaging around 17 points a game. He wasn't playing that ball stopper role, but when players started dropping like flies, he kind of went back into that. And then, they were kind of up and down with their wins and losses. So I'm curious to see what version of Beal we're going to get when he does return to the lineup. What are y'all thoughts on that? As far as what the team needs out of him?
I
mean,
mean,
that's true because because with Kuzma, I mean, Kuzma's playing at a high level, right?
That's my guy.
So at the end of the day, like we both called it. You called it in the beginning. I called it after that. And you can see his play on the court. It's just that who's going to take that like leadership role now, because Beal is usually the one like without the talent around him. He used to be the star and try to take it on. So now you have individuals who are stepping up more. And with Kuzma in the limelight, I think Beal may need to have to take a backseat a little bit, because once Kuzma gets hot, he's hot. Like you can't doubt his numbers. You can't doubt his productivity. So at the end of the day, it's almost like maybe Beal needs to play that little like second fiddle a little bit from time to time. And then when he needs to step in and score the 20 points or 25 to 30, then he can do it whenever he needs to. That's how I see his role playing, and not him handling the ball anymore. Like you have a lot of people who can handle the ball a little bit better than he can now. Because as Dale put in their last show, Danny, I mean, I've known it, he knows it too, but Dale called it out. He's like, Danny can handle the ball. He's like he's a point forward. He could move that. So and it just doesn't see. I don't think the role fits him properly. I think he can come off like he can just concentrate on scoring more than ball handling now, because he does give up the ball a little bit too much after half court, in my opinion. But when they pressure him, but that's. I think he can take a step back now. He can probably kind of relax a little bit and say, okay, I got the team around me now. We're a team instead of me.
David?
yeah, I mean, for me, I think for Beal to get to that next step, he needs to become an efficient scorer rather than a volume shooter. Just know when to take over games. Don't force bad shots, and just
When
make
you
sure the
say-
team.
When you say next step, do you mean as far as like wins and losses and where the team goes, or as an individual?
I mean, I think they both correlate with one another, right? If he's more efficient on the court, if he's getting everyone else involved, and if he's just not jacking up bad shots, then I think that definitely helps the team improve. He doesn't need to do too much, because from his injury, as you can see, like the other players are able to step up, and then given the chance, they're able to score. So
almost be
I
like
think,
an overall facilitator instead of like kind of.
I mean,
like
when Dinwiddie was out, Beal was playing the point, and he
Mhm.
was averaging like over 10 assists a game. So he has the ability to distribute the basketball. He just, I mean, it's going to be hard to see how everyone meshes, because now everyone's healthy. So we'll see how it goes. But I just think what he needs to do is just not try to do too much, because we
he
know
doesn't
that
have to.
he doesn't have to, exactly.
See, Harish, when you said facilitator, like we were
Mhm.
talking about that before, how you don't want him handling the ball so much.
Right.
I agree with that. I agree with that from this standpoint. When he is the primary ball handler, he tends to be a ball stopper. Even with the assists, like Russell Westbrook racks up assists, but he's a ball stopper too. Like,
Right.
and those assist numbers are shallow. a guy like Chris Paul, his assist numbers, those are the kind of assists you want. He's
Mm.
playing like a quarterback should play, like distributing instead of having like. But when it comes down to crunch time, it's unquestioned who's the guy if he needs to
Kuzma.
be. If no, well,
Right.
on with
I
regards
mean,
to Chris
Kuzma has
Paul,
made some big baskets.
Clutch
in-
Kuzma.
in-
David, will you tell Harish and all of our viewers so I can like confirm this right now? Who's been talking about Kuzma from day freaking one?
Yeah,
Day one.
they'll like Kuzma a lot. When he was with the Lakers, I mean, he saw a
In
lot
the
of
beginning,
potential in him.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he just hasn't had the spotlight or had the
Mm.
opportunity, I would say, to be the guy. Right?
Yeah.
He was always like the third fiddle in LA or the fourth option.
Mhm.
So I mean, you could see sparks, but he definitely had potential. And now with Washington, he's given the opportunity to shine. And, lately he's been producing. So
I think his
Dale
ideal
has been all
role,
over Kuzma, yes.
yeah. And see, in the beginning, he had Ingram taking all the shots, and then when those
Yeah.
guys get traded, he has LeBron handling the ball primarily. So that kind of diminishes the impact he can have on the team. But his ideal role, I think, is like a kind of a Pippen role, or
Mm.
that kind of role. He can, I think, he can be the guy on a bad team, like he can be a number one option. But on a good team, he's perfectly set into that like right behind the number one option type of role. Not backseat to anybody, but like a perfect complementary player to a Beal.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, because if Bill's struggling, he can take over a game just
Yeah.
as easy as any. Because I wanted him to go into the lane more. I mean, you're 6'10". I mean, at the end of the day, you're 6'10". Height wins overall. Also, his athleticism. So at the end of the day, like when he was going into the paint, like there's not that many people that could stop him. I mean, it's because when he took over that game, I mean, it was. I mean, even though they won by a very few, when he almost had that triple double, and Pittsburgh
He
didn't
was
shoot
mad.
the
he was
3-point
mad at
shot.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Shoot the ball.
He was like, "What are you doing?" I mean, that's the thing. Like, because this team, like, people are sleeping on the Wizards because when they're fully healthy, we've been
Yep.
saying it. This team can make some noise. It can make a lot of noise, like in the Eastern Conference. Even though, and it's just about meshing. And I think that's the biggest. I think the biggest battle they have is the uphill challenge. Is how are they going to mesh with each other? Because you can fit and you can mix and match players, but if they don't mesh well, it's going to be a difficult challenge within the game. So that's going to be the learning curve, I guess, for West Algeria, is to find that perfect mix to see who can fit in and perfectly play the position. Now, also he's out for due to health and safety protocols today. So that plus 7 points to Portland, I mean, that's a pretty. I mean, if you're gonna bet, you might as well just go to Portland. You might as well put your money on Portland. But I don't know how like the assistant coach comes in and executes the game plan and all that. But
I don't even know who the assistant coach is, to be honest.
I don't know either. It's that guy that always talks to him when he goes like too far out of that.
I've seen that, but I don't.
I have no idea what his name. And I think that's a good thing. That's a good thing because I think we know, like, okay, we know that if you have a good coaching staff, like you don't even need to know that guy's name if he does the job well.
Right.
Yeah. So with the full roster being back here, they'll have a little bit of time before the trade deadline to fully evaluate and see what moves they need to make. A big mistake I think the team is making right now with their roster, and they're going to end up having to make a decision on it here coming up, is with Greg Monroe. When they brought him up, well, the Timberwolves brought him up from the G League, but when the Wizards picked him up after they didn't renew his deal, I thought he was exactly what this roster needed because despite the fact that they have Harrell inside, they have Gafford inside, those guys can't bang with the bigs. Neither one of those guys can guard Embiid. Neither one can guard a Jokic type player. I'm not saying Greg Monroe can, but he's at least a body who can he has the size to put a body on those type of like legit centers. And he's somebody I'd keep, like, if you don't want to play him every night, I think he can help your team. But if you don't want to play him every night, fine, keep him on the end of the bench. But they're gonna let him go, and they're showing they're showing their hand on that because they're not playing him right now. And I think that sucks. I think that's gonna end up coming back to bite them. But what do y'all think about that? And then the other moves they might need to make. Harish, you know one I've been talking about, but
Yes.
I want to see what both of y'all think about that, where they need to go from here.
Yeah, with Greg Monroe, I've always liked him in the league. I mean, he was a big body who can give you like a double almost every game. As he's gotten older, he has shed a little bit of weight. He's become a lot leaner because with age you have to
Yeah,
take
he
care
looks
of your body.
fantastic.
Yeah,
He
I mean
looks
Yeah.
like
he's
he's in
training
better shape now than he ever did when
exactly
he was
yes,
when he
a
was up
hundred
all
percent.
time.
And with the thing is, Thomas Bryant is not. I mean, he's like a center that can go out and shoot a 3-pointer shot because he's
Right.
improved his shooting, he's improved everything. The
Now,
true center,
I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't even, I spaced on him.
Yeah.
He gives them a little more size, but he's still a bit undersized,
yes,
like against an Embiid or like a legit center, you
yeah.
know.
I mean, his body frame. If you look at the body frame, only out of all the 3 centers that we have, Gafford, Bryant, and unfortunately Monroe's not on the team anymore. But if you
No, he
did compare
is.
all the 3,
He
he's
he's,
still
he
on the
is for
team
now,
for
but
now. Okay,
he's
okay,
on a
good.
10-day contract though.
Gotcha. So if you compare all the 3, like you would have to go with Gafford because he's a little bit bigger and muscular to bang.
You got
But I
Harold
don't
too.
think Harold. I mean, he's an undersized. I mean, he can't
Yeah,
go
He's
against.
he is.
undersized.
He is
Harold,
just like Gafford. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, like you need somebody who can kind of like a little bit more of a veteran's presence in that kind of set because he can teach Harold or he can probably teach Gafford and Bryant how to like technically position yourself, even though you're not that big, to get those rebounds in crucial positions. That's why I like a Greg Monroe in that kind of instances where he can guide the younger players to be like, hey, instead of positioning your body this way, position it this way. So then that way, hey, you can probably get a foul on an offensive rebound or defensive thing. You just position your body and footwork. It's all about footwork at the end of the day. And when you get into that post, I mean, if Gafford can just develop like a low post game instead of dunking the ball, I mean, he'll be unstoppable. That's just me personally, but I mean that kind of knowledge is very important if you're trying to build a team for the future.
D. Lee.
I mean, I think Wizards need players that are better defensively or are able to guard the wing more. As I mean, like I'm like if you look at their bench, right? You have Neto, you have Bertans. I think is Brian coming off the bench right now because Gafford's starting and
Yeah.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't really see anyone who's a defensive stopper, right?
Mhm.
You'd be surprised who one of the top wing defenders in the league is right now and has been all season. You'd be surprised.
Is it because of Kuzma though,
No,
or
it's Denny.
No. It's Danny Agdia.
Agdia? Okay.
Yeah.
He the numbers bear it out, but I've watched him too. Like DeRozan had a couple of pretty good games against them, but his defense, like he bothered him. His length really bothered him out there.
Mhm.
And other games too. He has an impact on the defensive end, and his defensive rating is very high. I think Bearing minutes played, Bearing, he's top 10 in the league defensive rating.
Right. But how many minutes is he playing per game? Is he
It's
playing like
about
20 minutes a game?
it's about 25.
25.
About 20, 25?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always in the mindset of trying to improve defensively, and then the offense will follow.
Mhm.
Because if you could get stops, then you have better chances to either go on a break off a steal or have a better chance for an easier basket. So I think they should try to improve defensively because they have Steele, Dinwiddie, Kuzma's getting a lot of rebounds, but he could also shoot. So yeah, I mean Gafford, it looks like he improved a lot this year. His blocks are up, his rebounding is up. I think he's averaging career highs and everything.
Mhm.
But I think his minutes are still inconsistent right now. And then with Bryant coming back, we don't know what the rotation is going to look like.
Right.
And Hachimura's back as well. So so I mean, in terms of roster, I mean they could always use another scorer, but I would try to find someone who could fit in defensively in the starting lineup because I'm still not. I don't know. I'm still iffy about KCP. Like, he's like,
Yeah, I don't buy it either.
yeah, I mean, he gets streaky. He jacks up threes, but then sometimes on the defensive end, it looks lost out there. So I don't know. Maybe someone else.
Who is
to-
it that I said
to get it.
you've never seen him and KCP in the same place? Was that Josh Richardson? Like the same person? Was that who it was? Somebody is his twin. I think it's him. Somebody is his twin, his doppelganger. But
Yeah.
but I don't. I think KCP. I think Harrell. Those guys are perfect, like off the bench type
Right,
dudes.
off the bench. Yeah.
Just come in and give your energy for a few minutes, and then have a seat. Let the stoppers come back in.
Right.
But I think what will help them on the defensive end, and I brought this up in the past two shows, is slowing the game down like they were in the beginning. In the beginning, when they were on their hot streak, all those wins were low scoring games.
Yeah.
Their losses lately, and even the close wins lately, have been, they're ticking up into the hundreds. So they
Right.
with their size in the backcourt, with Dinwiddie being a slower point guard, I think it would help them on the defensive end to just slow the game down, run more offensive sets like they were in the beginning. With Beal being out here, they've been getting back to that. So that's why I was saying I hope that sticks around when he comes back. Just keep the game slow and move the ball around.
If I had to trade somebody, I'd probably trade Bertans to
I would
get
trade
somebody.
And I've said that too on the past two
Yeah,
shows.
like
Because
I
of
mean,
right
he used
now,
to be big on Bertans, but he's
it's
just
not him. It's
Yeah.
it's his contract, and
Yeah.
it's just the fact that they don't need him.
yeah, because
they don't.
Corey can do the same thing that Bertans does, and I think Corey's a
that?
better defensive. Corey Kispert,
Yeah.
and I think he's a better defensive player. Like he's learning how to
Yeah.
play, and he does the
He's
small
scrappier.
things. Yeah, he's a little bit scrappier, and he can cut into the lane. Even though I like Bertans because he can give you like 10 points very quickly off the bench, 20
Hey.
points real quick. But
No
at
doubt.
the end of the day, I mean, his defensive prowess has improved since the previous seasons. I mean, he's actually guarding a player instead of just letting him go by. But that can also be detrimental too, because sometimes he can call if he gets quick fouls, then at the end of the day, like you lose your sharpshooter almost.
Now the
So
Latvian Laser he's another one of those guys I was high on. David knows
Yeah,
I hype up certain players here and there, but
but,
I mean,
but
he's a great shooter, but
yeah.
then he's a liability on the
Yeah.
defensive
Yeah.
end.
yeah.
That's
So if you had to trade, like let's say Bertans, where would you trade him to, and what would we get back for him? If we had to, like, let's say David, let's say if you wanted a defensive stopper and a scorer, like, let's say like can give you like say 15 points a game, but he's a defensive prowess. Which team will pull that trigger to get Bertans? And let's say some cash.
I don't see, the problem is I don't know what the market is for Bertans. I don't know what teams how high teams will value him. Right, because he's so streaky in my opinion, and then he's a liability defensively. So
Or
I mean,
do you want to
is
put
someone willing to
KCP
part?
in there too?
See,
So
if I were trading Bertans, I wouldn't even, and I said this before too, I wouldn't even look to get anything back for him. He's just a piece I would want to move just to move that contract and free up that spot, free up those minutes. I think, and you said you don't know what the market is, and that is tough to gauge. But a contender always needs a shooter. If I were the Sixers, I'd be all over trying to make a move like that. They definitely need some spacing. The Lakers, I mean, they could definitely use some spacing, but the problem is they don't really have anything to give up in return. Their roster being so old, teams aren't looking to really acquire pieces from them.
Maybe what's his name, Tucker?
Yeah, they don't want to trade him though. They
Yeah.
love him.
Yeah, I know. I
So-
know. LeBron will be pissed.
That's his guy, and I get it. He's not one of those guys you think about, but he's
mean,
along the lines of Caruso, like a high energy player.
Yeah.
Lakers already have a Bertans and Melo. Right now.
Oh, yeah.
A shooter who doesn't play defense. Yep.
Yeah, they have the same role.
Yep. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Y'all want to switch gears from the Wizards here? We can
Yeah.
touch on the
Sure.
Nuggets a little bit. I tweeted this out earlier this week about how the Nuggets are missing their second and third best players in Porter and Murray. And any other team who would be going through this kind of adversity, you'd hear all sorts of excuses, like the Lakers when they've had a couple of guys who you don't even think about out of the lineup. People have said, if we had these guys back, if we had Ariza back, they'd be doing so much better. Excuses out the wazoo. But Jokic is not making any excuses. the Nuggets are right there at the 6th seed in the West, because he's playing at a higher level than he did during his MVP campaign. He's just getting it done with guys like who can name. I can name the Nuggets start lineup because I watch them all the time. But who else can do that? I mean, you don't know who these guys are.
Jeff Green.
I mean, Jeff Green. Like Jeff Green is out there having an impact. Will Barton, yeah. But these guys are Jeff Green is having an impact because you've got a guy like Jokic distributing the ball. You got Facundo Campazzo out there making a difference. Like it's because of Jokic. Exactly.
Yeah.
He was a 30-year-old rookie. I like Campazzo too. He reminds me, like I feel like if I was in the league, I'd be like him, like getting under everybody's skin. I like his
he's trying to be. He's like a Dellavedova player.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Who's still playing in the Australian league?
Wait, Dellavedova's still playing?
Still playing.
He's in Australia.
He's in Australia. I was about to say, I have a sheer despise for that man. Like the way he's like a gnat that you can never get rid of.
You don't like Delly?
No, man.
I like Delly
playing against him.
I like Delly 10
have him
times
on your
out of
team
10.
and then against him. Like,
I'll take Delly 10 times out of 10 over Patrick Beverly. That dude, he does not belong in the NBA.
Patrick Beverly.
Screw him. What a jerk.
What is your beef with Patrick Beverly?
He's a dirty, disgusting player. He's not even that good. He tricks teams into thinking he's like a decent defender by going out there running around and being dirty. Like that doesn't make you a good defender. I don't need that kind of energy on my team.
That's
what
true.
What an idiot.
So now, do you attribute the Nuggets' recent like winning? Would you attribute that to like good coaching in the players?
No, I knew you were going to go there, and no,
it's just Jokic.
I don't like Mike Malone as a coach. I think some of the decisions he made in the bubble, some of the decisions he made last year, actually cost the team. They got to where they did despite him. I think he's costing them the ability to move on to the next round in the playoffs because he makes boneheaded moves here and there with substitutions. Even with the starting lineup here and there, he makes just decisions that make you scratch your head. I don't like him as a coach. And I thought that after their bubble, not after the bubble, after last season, the bubble they went far.
Yep.
After last season, I thought they might consider making a move, but the players apparently love him, so he's going to be there. I hope when the guys come back that he can somehow get them over the hump.
So let's say this. Let's say for
quickly,
this year,
we're at the 10-minute warning on this segment of the show. So once we run out here, we're going to stop it and pick back up. We might get cut off. If we do, then just look for us on
So let me ask you this, Dale. So then let's say if this year, if they don't, let's say, make the Western Conference final, you think the coach is out and they'll get a new coach for next season?
No, and he's got a built-in excuse because of the injuries.
Jamal Murray
and Porter. But somehow Porter was back on the court 2 nights ago warming up. So he might be coming back at some point this season, probably around the same time as Murray, who's set for a March return. That'd be nice if they can get back with about a month to go and gel with the lineup. If Murray comes back and he's like Murray from 3 years ago when he was about 17 points a game, and Porter is even Porter from his rookie season, this team, they can contend with the Warriors.
Oh, speaking of the Warriors, we spoke about they're going to go on a slide, and that slide did happen. But
no, I think you went there. I said they might not lose another game.
Then they got blown out by 40 to Milwaukee.
So I'm going to wear my clown mask here.
I mean, it's a long season.
But I also, a caveat, I also said that their full roster wouldn't lose another game, and they've been without Draymond. They destroyed the Bulls last night. I don't know if y'all saw that.
But Bulls got destroyed back-to-back games. But Levine got hurt, though.
Yeah.
He got hurt early.
Levine got hurt. Yeah, his knee is, I don't know. That didn't look
I
too
hope he's
good.
okay.
Yeah, I hope he's okay, too.
I want to see the full-strength Bulls and how they fare.
Yeah, I like the Bulls squad. So.
Yeah.
Caruso, man, it's all about Caruso.
Has he
No,
has he been playing? Yeah, right. He's been hurt.
He's been injured.
But I've been pulling for DeRozan to have this success there because he got cheated out of a ring in Toronto. So Lowry got rid of him, but that's fine.
Really?
Nah, but
they're best friends, Lowry.
I'm kidding.
You just
Kawhi,
the pot.
Yeah,
During the
Kawhi
pod-
went there and immediately got a ring though. So like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of, how does that make you feel?
His
But
weird laugh.
we can talk about whatever y'all want here in these next few minutes. We're gonna
Mm.
run out of time. But when we pick up on the next segment, we can start off with the NFL stuff.
So let's say the Wizards are healthy. Which will be your top 5? Like, who will be your starting 5, David? Since
If
they're
the
kind of getting
Wizards-
healthy now, what would be their? Who do you think can be their starting 5?
Who would be your
Yeah.
what would your idea?
I mean, I
starting
guess
five?
I would go Dinwiddie, Beal, Kuzma, and then Gafford, and then I don't know who I would play at the 4. I don't know if I want Hachimura to be at the 4 as a starter. Can Bryant play the 4? Because
He can. He
Yeah,
can
I
play
think-
4 and 5.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
I
a
would-
stretch.
I would have Bryant and Gafford
Oh
as
wow,
a 4-5.
okay.
I would like that lineup because you get Montrez with the high energy off the bench,
Got it.
and then you could put KCP at the bench, and then you have Abdia, Neto, and I guess
Don't forget
Morris.
Kingsburg. My boy
Or-
Kingsburg.
Yeah, and then and Hachimura, Harold. Yeah, so yeah, I would start Bryant and Gafford at 4-5. So Dinwiddie, Beal, Kuzma.
Mhm.
Harish?
I would say my backcourt will be like Beal and Dinwiddie. Then I'll go with Kuzma. Then I will go with Thomas Bryant at the 5 and Hachimura at the 4. So then that way you have a little bit more, because with the centers nowadays can't play out. You can easily rotate Hachimura into the middle if any of the centers get out of position, because anybody can cut at that point. That's just me, because I also love Hachimura. So I was great.
Yeah.
I love. Yeah.
I was a big Rui guy coming out. I was comparing him to Kawhi at one point.
Yes.
But I've kind of backed off on that here lately. My ideal starting lineup with the guys they have right now would be Monroe at the 5. But since he's going to be cut, I guess I got to switch that up. Definitely go with Bryant at the 5. I've kind of toyed with the idea of playing with Kuzma at the 4, but and I still kind of like that. But I like his defense on the 3s. So for that reason, I'd put him there. Go with Gafford at the 4, and then of course Beal and Dinwiddie in the backcourt. And then then that gives you Harold's energy off the bench. That gives you KCP streaky shooting off the bench. Bertans for now, Kispert, Neto. I mean, their bench contends with like OKC's starting 5. Like their bench is solid. So
No, OKC has
name somebody besides him and Dort. Okay.
Yeah, those two.
Name another player.
And Giddy's good, man.
Yeah, Giddy is good.
Giddy is good.
He's good. Dang, Dale.
He doesn't look like he'll be
Dale
good, but
really
he's
hates OKC.
I don't hate them, but they're obviously intentionally like playing a process type thing with like the Sixers did. Like you don't field that lineup expecting to win.
They beat the Nets. What do you mean?
They destroyed the Nets.
Yeah.
What is that?
I mean, Durant.
You know the Nets didn't wake up for
play.
that game. You know they did not wake up. They're like, oh, OKC.
Yeah,
what happened? I didn't see it.
They blew Chicago out, and then they rested Durant because it was a back-to-back.
Gotcha.
Harden played though, but they still got blown out. So
do you know? Here's a betting stat for you. Do you know? I think it's all. I don't think the Nets have covered once this season.
What do you mean?
I mean, not covered.
You mean at home?
Not covered. Covered
Yeah, they covered. They crushed Chicago the other day.
at home?
Oh no, on the road. They haven't covered at home. You mean?
Yeah.
They're not a good home.
Sorry. Yeah. That's what I meant. Yeah. They haven't covered once at home all season.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It's something like that.
Yeah,
I might be
okay.
I might be completely making that up.
We might need to fact
like
check
that.
this.
It's something like
I
that.
I know they're not good at home. I think it's the first time they beat like a team above 500 when they beat Chicago.
There's something to the cover thing.
Something like that.
I'll find that later. Yeah.
There's some stat that's worrying.
Yeah.
That's insane though, man. Like if you look at it, if you try to, because you think they'll do really well at home if that's the case, and then you'll put money on them because you know that's a sure win. But
You know,
Right.
y'all know people are talking about John Moran is starting to creep into the MVP conversation here, but there's one stat really working against him: the fact that they're 11-2 without him in the lineup,
Yeah,
and
really,
they play really well without when he was
with him in the lineup, they're above 500, but not by much.
why is that though? That's
That's
weird.
weird.
That's really weird.
I don't know. You would probably have
Hmm.
to look at the level of competition as well.
That's
I'm not
true.
sure what teams that they
Mhm.
played when he was out.
Yeah, because
Speaking
Bill
of which,
mentioned.
as we go ahead,
Yeah. Oh,
no, no,
sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
go
You want to transition in? We can
No, no,
start
no.
over.
I was gonna say, speaking of which, level of competition, I was gonna bring up the Wizards' upcoming schedule. They've got the Blazers here tonight, and that should be cakewalk, but we'll see. Then they've got a pretty daunting stretch coming up with the Sixers, Nets, Raptors, Celtics, the Clippers after that, and who knows what you'll get there. But that next stretch of games, this will tell where the roster where they are now with everybody back
Measuring stick.
with this stretch of games. Yeah, this is the measuring stick.
This is the measuring stick. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh, that's tough, man. That's
yeah.
very tough. Like if they can go what 6-0, then or that's not going to happen.
No, no,
I'm
no.
going to say
No,
this. I'm
I
going to be
laughed.
very conservative.
I laughed because they can. Will
but they
they?
can also go 0-6.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
So
They could definitely
three and
go
three,
0-6 as well.
50%. 3-3.
And with those opponents, I would take with the Sixers and Nets and the Raptors are tough too.
Yeah.
I mean, Van Vliet lights them up. So
Man, I love that man. So I mean, even though he was on VCU squad, I mean he's just like I've always liked him. I was like, I hope the Wizards can somehow get a trade for him, but that didn't work. I was just like,
you've got
dang,
about 40 seconds.
40 seconds. Okay.
So we're gonna get cut. It's not showing me the time right now. But we're gonna probably get cut off, and then yeah. But like I said, we're gonna pick it back up. As a matter of fact, I'll just go ahead and stop it. So we're gonna take a break here. We're gonna pick back up with segment 2. We're gonna get into the NFL topics. So if y'all are more of a fan of that, stay tuned. We'll be right back.